long live friendship between Azerbaijan and Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone and welcome to Arts TV's Diplomat's Corner, where each month we host members of the diplomatic community to share experiences working in Ethiopia and the world to help us and you, our viewers, better understand the diplomatic landscapes of the times. Today we have with us Charge d'Affaires of Azerbaijan, Ruslan Nasivov. Welcome and thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule for speaking with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for visiting our embassy.
Yeah, I actually like the ambience here, so well done, thank you. Your country recently celebrated its National Day commemorating the establishment of the first secular democratic Muslim country. How was the celebrations? What were they like?
Yes, you are right. Recently we had an official reception on the occasion of 28th May, Independence Day. On 28th May, 104 years ago, the first parliamentary democracy, secular republic, was established in the Muslim world. It was in 1918. It was the first country in Muslim world and in the European continent as well that granted women universal suffrage. So the women could elect and could be elected, and it was implemented.
So even before the United States and France and all the other countries we traditionally think of as democracies, yeah. Okay.
Even before. The life of that republic lasted only for 23 months, till the end of April 1920. But it went down into history with these considerable achievements. We celebrated 104 years of establishment of Azerbaijans Democratic Republic, and this is our Independence Day.
Okay. Why did the republic end after, you said, 23 months?
23 months. Yeah. Yes, then in 1920, Bolsheviks army crossed the border with Azerbaijan, and our first secular parliamentary democracy ceased to existence. For 71 years, we had been a part of the Soviet Union, the Soviet Republic. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, we restored our state independence. The Act on Restoration on State Independence says that we restored it.
Mm-hmm. And was that accepted?
On October 18, 1991.
1991, okay. And was that welcomed by the population, or was there some kind of pushback? Was it easier than would be expected?
Of course it was, because our people had always had states, empires through centuries. And we preserved the sense and the feeling of our statehood. We had always been admiring our independence. We wanted to be independent. And of course it was more than welcomed by all people in Azerbaijan.
Okay, that's good to hear, yeah. So considering this rich democratic culture that you have then, where does Ruslan Nasivov fit into the structure? What is your experience? What's your position within the Azerbaijani democracy?
I'm part of diplomatic service, of our diplomatic service, and I'm very honored to be a small little part of it.
Okay.
I'm very honored to take part in certain developments. When I was joining diplomatic service in 1990s, our country was going through very turbulent times. It was a very challenging period. And looking back, I personally, if you're talking about my personal attitudes and
personal attitudes, but also your experience within that change that was happening, because I think it would be of interest to our audiences, given that we might consider ourselves in a similar situation that your country was in a few years ago, like transitioning from a system that was really not loved by the people to a system that is trying to bring in democratic reforms?
We, in 1990s, when everything was starting, of course, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, we faced incredible challenges for our statehood. From one hand, it was an economic crisis. From another, it was a political crisis and external threat to our statehood. Armenia had territorial claims to us. It started military aggression, occupying our 20% of our territory at that time. We had 7.5 million people at that time. And imagine that almost 1 million people became refugees and internally displaced persons.
Because of that conflict?
Each seventh. You can imagine what kind of burden it is on the economy. You can imagine what burden it is on an entire nation. Because those people were deprived of anything. They were subjected to ethnic cleansing by Armenian armed forces. The state had to provide them with everything. And this was a real great challenge. We approached to the age when the state itself could cease to existence.
It was that bad?
Could have disappeared. At the time in 1993, in June, our people, fortunately, our people had a leader. A leader who could take the lead of the nation, who could take the responsibility with his enormous experience, could show the nation and all entire people the way out, how to preserve yourself. Because independence was in our mind for decades. We wanted that independence. And we could not afford us to lose it again, as it happened in 1920. Yeah. So, and that leader was our national leader, Haydar Aliyev. In 1993, the people invited him to Baku from Nakhchivan. If you see the part on the map, which is here, the Nakhchivan is a part which is separated from our mainland by Armenia, Armenia's territory. And from that point, we can start positive countdown. From that point, from 1993, okay. Yes. Our national leader, Haydar Aliyev, was elected by people as a president, and he started fundamental changes in our state.
Such as?
Everything. Yeah, where I'm talking, it is not possible to talk in this,
okay,
because so many. And at that time I was studying at university, Faculty of History, and personally I was not missing any single speech of our national leader.
Okay, so very passionate about him, for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in 1994, we concluded a contract of the century with to untap our oil and gas, oil reserves in the Caspian, offshore reserves in the Caspian Sea. Then so many, the reforms were spanning from political up to humanitarian, all fields in our country. And the fundament was laid down in 1990s. This fundament was laid exactly at the time when I joined the diplomatic service. Okay. It was a really challenging time, but all of us, we had a strong belief in future, confidence, because we had a national leader who was leading us, and we have love for motherland. Okay. We wanted to develop it for the future of our children.
Yeah, so it was a motivation of you had your country motivation before that,
Yes.
and then the leader kind of showed you
Yes.
that that could be realized and achieved.
Yes,
So
exactly.
would you say, like, did you have any diplomatic aspirations before that, or was it the inspiration you got from the leader that also put you within the diplomatic community? Or was that your plan all along when you were in university?
At university, I already had been inspired by our national leader, and I had a stronger feeling and willing to join diplomatic service, to try to use myself and the skills for my nation, for my country.
So those things worked well for you?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So considering your experiences during that time and looking at Ethiopia now, what do you think of, if you have that much information about our reforms, do you think our reforms are going well, they're at a good pace? What do you think?
I'm not in position to comment what's going on in Ethiopia. This is it's coming both to our, your question is coming to our bilateral relations already. I would like to give that just insight. We established our diplomatic relations with Ethiopia on 2nd November 1992. So this year we celebrate 30 years already.
Okay.
Yes, it's already a jubilee.
Good relationship.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Close to jubilee, 20 years. Yeah.
Yes, and we are now a member of NAM and the chair of NAM on the non-alignment movement.
For our viewers, can you explain what that is?
Non-aligned movement. It's a non-aligned movement. It's a movement that covers 2/3 of the world. 120 countries are members of non-aligned movement. It was formed back 60 years ago.
60 years.
You know, two of 5 founding fathers of non-aligned movement were from Africa.
Nelson
Yes,
Mandela
Ghana and Egypt.
Ghana and Egypt, okay.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. So now we are chair of the non-aligned movement, and there are principles, 10 main principles of non-aligned movement. I would like to mention some of them, main principles of international law. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states, non-interference in domestic affairs, mutually beneficial cooperation. So many principles. I'm just mentioning those few principles, and with Ethiopia we share these principles.
Okay.
So your question also is relating with these principles as well. So that's why I said I am not in position to do this. What I say, I can talk about how we can achieve what we have achieved in last 2 decades, for example. In the last 2 decades, our economy grew more than 3 times. Foreign currency reserves hit the mark of $53 billion US. It's more than 5-fold higher than our foreign debt.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we have more than $260 billion US have been invested in Azerbaijan already. Yes, approximately half of them are foreign direct investments. So you know that's what is this, what it means maybe from economic perspective, because first nobody will come to invest in your country in Azerbaijan if we couldn't create conducive conditions, favorable environment for foreign direct investment. And that everything, the fundament was laid down in 1990s, you know, at that time. So we reached the level of upper middle income country already.
Did that happen recently or?
In a few years ago. We invested in infrastructure. We're a landlocked country.
Very similar to us in that sense.
with a population of 10.2 million people. And, but we managed to turn a landlocked country into land-linked country. We used our favorable geographical location as well. So the transport corridors, Eurasian transport corridors, are running through Azerbaijan. We were talking about south-north,
Yeah.
from Persian Gulf up to north. Then we were talking about east-west, like a Silk Road, also running through us, from China to Europe. So we invested in construction of railroads, in roads, in general infrastructure, in airports. We have a 5-star airport, Haydar Aliyev International Airport, near Baku. We have 7 international airports, 7.
10 million people country.
Yes,
yeah.
7.
Okay.
One of them, the last one, Fuzuli International Airport, was just constructed from scratch in 8 months last year. In just 8 months.
That's very impressive, yeah.
And it was commissioned by President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and President of Turkey Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
It was a joint project with the Turkish, or?
The Turkish companies were participating in this. And the uniqueness of this airport is that it was constructed in the recently liberated territories.
Territories liberated from Armenia, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, armed force.
Yeah.
And all these areas were contaminated by mines. So it had to be demined first, the area, and then construct. So 8 months. In 8 months,
For the
everything
entire
had
thing.
been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So-
even more impressive now.
And we have 2 more international airports coming up in liberated territories, in our liberated territories, in 2024. Okay. It is in the next years, in the coming years, we will witness their functioning.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
that sounds good. But going back to, especially because you touched on it now too, with the liberated areas and with Armenia and the conflict, I understand has been a very long conflict throughout the history of both countries, right? Yeah, and in that sense, what do you think is a key strategic approach that you guys took that other countries can learn from as well to resolve these kind of things, reducing the impact that it has on human life?
We had not surrendered. We did not accept the violation of principles of international law. We did not accept the violation of our borders. We did not go along with this. We upheld inviolability of borders. We had to go through, maybe somebody will be thinking that it is a long distance, but for history it's very short distance. 28 years, 26 years, quarter of century. In quarter of century we strengthened ourselves, prepared ourselves to restore our international borders. And that happened during the 44-day Patriotic War in autumn 2020. 8 years of negotiations with the international mediation did not bring about any result. So the conflict was solved, a military conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan was solved through political and military means, not diplomatic.
Not diplomatic. Okay.
Political and military means.
So you think diplomacy failed when it comes to that case, at least?
Maybe I'm mistaken, but let's look into history a little bit. Maybe someone can tell me another example, but personally, I'm not aware of any case of solution of such kind of conflict at the negotiation table. When the occupying force voluntarily withdrew its armed forces from the territory of another state.
Yeah, it's difficult to think of one for me too.
Yes, you see?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we enforced the international law ourselves, alone. There were 4 United Nations Security Council resolutions demanding immediate, complete, and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian armed forces from the territories of Azerbaijan, and it just remained on paper. So we, by ourselves, implemented them.
So you took
and
measures.
Liberated our territories, yes.
Yeah, so in that sense, yeah, for sure, diplomacy.
Under the leadership of our victorious commander-in-chief, our president, Ilham Aliyev, we've been preparing ourselves for this. We have been making ourselves ready, because we still believe that it could be done through diplomatic means at the negotiation table. We're a very peaceful nation. We don't have territorial claims to anyone, but we demand the same attitude towards us. That is the main, what I would say, that is the main
policy position.
Policy and for peaceful coexistence and stability and development in the region.
Agreed. So in that sense, would you say that given how 28 years didn't bring that much progress and it just led to conflict, after the conflict, would you say now that you see progress within those relations that you have with Armenia?
The conflict is solved. There is no conflict. Military conflict is over. We restored our internationally recognized borders. Our president repeatedly expressed the vision of normalization of relations with Armenia. It had to be done on strict subsummers of norms and principles of international law, and those which I already mentioned, respect to sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states. We're determined to reintegrate all the territories, our territories, and our government is conducting huge works in the liberated territories, reconstruction works.
Mm-hmm.
You may imagine that that area is equal to the territory of the country like Lebanon. But everything is destroyed, looted. Our soldiers could not even find a building to raise of our flag. Almost 1 million people were living in these territories before. What happened? They didn't destroy everything. They were closing their houses and taking keys with them, with the sense that one day they will return back. But when they return back, they don't say anything. They couldn't find even their house because everything was looted, even bricks. Even bricks of the houses.
Do you know what they use that for? It's just purposely to make that area unlivable?
First, it's a looting, making a money of it. And of course, it's a pure and explicit attempt and intention to eliminate any presence of our nation in these lands, because it affected not only the houses but the cultural heritage as well.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, of course.
Our government has a clear task on how everything will be done on these liberated territories, and I must mention that everything. Reconstruction works are based on a smart city, smart village, and green energy.
So even more progressive.
More progressive, absolutely.
That, yeah.
And it's going to be again a pattern for the world. Because there is no such experience so far in reconstructing from scratch the whole entire territories based on that technologies.
Yeah, true.
So the first smart village even was commissioned by President Ilham Aliyev in Zangilan region, which is closer with Armenian border in the southwest of Azerbaijan's mainland. In Zangilan district, it's a part of East Zangezur economic region. The smart village is called Ahalli. Everything is smart, energy, green energy, houses themselves, technologies.
Okay. Is it
everything.
a big city?
It's a village.
It's a village, okay.
It's a village. But it is a pattern how it is going to be done, everything in those liberated territories.
And
In our
earlier we were talking about expanding Azerbaijan's influence in the world in the sense of creating more awareness, more projects, more partnerships. Maybe do you think that could be something Azerbaijan could help Ethiopia with during our reconstruction of conflict-affected areas?
We are going through this process now. It's not finished yet. And it will take more time.
6 months, no?
No, more times, of course. More time, of course, because imagine that we need to reconstruct from scratch 7 cities, hundreds of villages, thousands of kilometers of roads.
Were these modern villages before, or were they more
No, they were not modern
traditional?
villages.
Okay.
Now we are making them modern, smart.
Yeah, very good urbanization, yeah.
And we are cooperating with some international organizations as well, trying to use the experience of the world in some areas
Okay.
related to these concepts.
So maybe far in the future you might be able to help us with that. I guess we'll see.
We'll be sharing our experience as well, but we're in the process now. Yes, we're in the process. And we're confident that we will make a pattern again.
Nice, okay. So sticking to the complex geographic situations that Azerbaijan experiences because of where it's located, would you describe the principles that you just shared with me as applicable to the conflict that seems to be brewing up between Turkey and Greece currently, especially considering your historic ties with Turkey and also that Turkey conducts even military parades, for example, in Azerbaijan as recently as last week, I think.
This is an issue between two subjects of international law. I would like to say something about our brotherly country, our ally, Turkey. Not Turkey, but Turkey already from 2 days before. 2 days before, yes,
yeah,
it changed already. So we ethnically, culturally, linguistically, we are very close. We also belong to a Turkish nation. There is also an organization of Turkish states. We are a member of it, together with Turkey. We are allies with them, with Turkey and Azerbaijan are allies. And the Declaration on Allied Relations was signed in Shusha city last year on 15th June. We follow the policy and the concept, if we can say that, that says one nation, two states.
One nation, two states,
Yes.
with Turkey.
I would say that there is no any other two countries in the world that can be as close as Turkey with Azerbaijan.
Okay. So very close bond with them.
Very close ones,
Yeah.
yes. We're independent countries, and we follow also independent foreign policies.
Exactly, yeah.
But I would like to say that we're very, not just close. Yeah, we cannot explain even this with
Like the
Turkey
ties that you
and
have.
yes, to our brothers in Turkey. So everywhere around the globe.
Yeah, so in that sense, you would say Turkey's policy towards Greece is your policy as well?
I may not comment on this
You may
because they're also they are members of NATO.
At NATO?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I may not comment on that, of course.
Okay. So moving on, like we're still gonna stick to the topic of conflict. How would you compare the manner in which the international community, including the media, handled the conflict in Ethiopia as compared to the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and also the conflict that is currently happening between Russia and Ukraine. Especially because,
I would not compare our former Armenian-Azerbaijani military conflict with your region.
Mm-hmm.
Because our conflict was international. Two subjects of international law, two states were involved in this, and two parties were involved in this conflict before. So that's why this is uncomparable, absolutely.
Yeah, no, not the conflict, but how international media and the international community responded to that. Because one of the most important things about this conflict for Ethiopians especially was how the conflict was treated or perceived in other countries. And I would want to get a perception of you in the sense of how you saw that panning out, how you saw the other conflicts panning out as well.
We have been experiencing a biased attitude in media towards us through the whole entire even negotiation process of almost 28 years. And during the 44-day war in autumn 2020, we have seen it. Mm-hmm. However, our nation is united, mm-hmm. united around our stage, around our leader, our president, Ilham Aliyev. We believe in our future, and we will protect and preserve our independence, each of us and everywhere, regardless of our location. We had to cope with this media biasedness as well. And during 44-day patriotic war, you may have witnessed that our president and victorious commander-in-chief gave more than 30 interviews himself. He was the leading the narrative. Yes, the nation, and also what we say our struggle against biasedness in media. Mm-hmm. He gave us more than 30 interviews to world media outlets, more than 30.
Okay, more than
during
30.
44 days.
And there was still, did you see the bias go lower, or was it still at the same level during that time? Like, were the interviews effective? Or?
Well, the focuses are now different in international media. Mm-hmm. This military conflict in our region, Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict, military conflict, already solved. So the focus is different now. Also, we still experiencing it. In many fields, in political and economic, we see this. Coming to the third part of your question regarding the situation in Ukraine.
Ukraine and Russia, yeah.
I would say that the first, we support territorial integrity of Ukraine. We have good relations with both, with Russia and Ukraine. And consider that principles of international law shall not be subjected by political preferences.
So the concepts that you iterated earlier should be applied
we
to
uphold
this
the
as well.
Principles of international law, and as a chair of NAM, and those principles are the fundament of this also. Principles are enshrined also in UN Statute.
Yeah, of course, everywhere, yeah. So, okay, but do you think the way that the media and the international community treats this conflict is different from how they've treated other conflicts in the past, including the Ethiopia conflict or the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict as well?
Let's approach to this issue from other side. Nowadays, we have well developed in the world information communication technologies. As to my opinion, there is now almost impossible to hide something, because billions of people have got their own tribune.
Court of public opinion
yes,
is more
in the social
your house,
media
yeah.
and everywhere. Mm-hmm. So there is almost impossible to hide something. So we believe in truth. But for example, if you're talking about the coverage of the media biasedness with our conflict, I would say, for example, the media was calling during our 44-day war, media was calling Bayraktars as evil. Yes, killing innocent people. And now Bayraktar is called by media as a salvation mean.
Okay, Bayraktar is what specifically?
It's a Turkey-made drone.
Okay. Okay, so the drone.
Yeah. You see?
Yeah.
So this is we see this also.
Do you think there is anything that can be done about it? Because I think within the past 2 years, not just with Ethiopia and Azerbaijan, Armenia, but globally, a lot of sides that go into conflict have seen that bias and are wondering what to do. Like, do you think it's something that could be solvable, or even that should be focused on, and international communities actually try to address that as an issue?
I'm not a media person.
Yeah,
of course.
That's our job, I know.
I'm not a media person, yes. Media is called a force power, right? So it's a matter, of course, of professionalism and self-discipline and, of course, of attitude of each and everyone who is involved in journalism.
So you're telling us, look at yourselves, it's not up to us?
No, I'm not telling you to look at yourself, yes. But this is, we cannot tell you what to write, what to show. So that's why you're called force power.
Yeah, you can't touch us, but we can do whatever we want. So
yes, so this is your field, yes.
Yeah, exactly, okay. So moving on to our final point would be, given the dynamics that the international community, the media has created in Ethiopia, and how, for example, with the termination of AGOA, the African Growth Opportunity Act with the US, and also measures that the European Union or creditors have taken, do you think it's an opportunity for countries like Azerbaijan or other countries that are not that involved in Ethiopia or Africa to take steps, especially considering you guys have, like you mentioned earlier, how you're a very good trade corridor, and in Africa there's a grain shortage, for example, because of Ukraine and Russia, and you have, especially compared to your size, a good agricultural and farm capacity. So do you think there are a lot of opportunities to step into the continent?
A lot of opportunities. I would agree with you to step in the continent for us. We opened our embassy, established our embassy in Addis Ababa in 2014, just 8 years ago. Then we had almost 2 years of COVID. Yes, and it interfered with many plans around the globe. And then the world changed also.
Yeah, I have to.
So now we are working with our Ethiopian partners also, and Ethiopian friends, on how we can expand our bilateral relations, especially in this economic and trade fields. So we're just studying opportunities. We're moving towards certain steps already, and hopefully we will see the result. I'm confident we will see the results in the near future.
Okay. Are there any projects that are planned right now?
Including the projects as well. Because you also may see that we need to create a direct contact between our business circles, direct contacts. Because you know also that a business runs in accordance with certain also rules. So we cannot also say, for example, one business company or someone just do it this or do this. You know, it's a business, and they must study. They may learn, and they take a decision.
Yeah,
from both sides.
Yeah, they must see the appeal of that market.
So that's what we can can create a conducive environment for them. That's what we're trying to do.
So pretty soon, I guess we'll see a lot
Pretty
of
soon,
Azerbaijani events, businesses,
Pretty
stuff
soon,
like that.
yes.
Okay. Final question is, overall, you told me you've been in Ethiopia for a year now. What's your impressions, like not of the politics and your work, but overall of the culture, the people, your life here even?
I really enjoy my stay here, an assignment. I really like Ethiopia and Ethiopian culture. It's really a land of origins. It has Ethiopian people, they have deep historical traditions. I'm impressed, and I am thankful for hospitality to Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian people, because I like your food also.
What's your favorite?
As all Ethiopians like shiro and injera.
Yeah,
and of course, I like your coffee.
The coffee, yeah, the
Coffee is
biggest thing.
yes, very, very tasty. I looking forward for exploring Ethiopia, for traveling around your country, to traveling to very historical places.
Have you been to any of them so
No,
far?
I haven't been so far,
because
yes.
of the conflict.
Yes, I would like to go there, to all these areas.
Okay, yeah.
Spanning from south to northeast, to everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
A
you
lot of
definitely should
places,
see, yeah.
a lot of places, and hopefully I will succeed to do this.
Yeah, hopefully, I think that will happen pretty soon. And that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us with Charge d'Affaires Razlan Nazibov. And until the next episode of Diplomat's Corner, see you.